Hello everyone. Liverpool are worth 5.5 billion. 5.5 billion pounds. And Jeff Bezos is involved. And before Liverpool fans start celebrating like somebody has just deposited 5.5 billion into the transfer budget, calm down. That is not what this means. Liverpool have not opened their banking app this morning and seen 5.5 billion sitting there next to a notification from Jeff Bezos saying, "Enjoy." What has actually happened is Fenway Sports Group, FSG for short, the owners of Liverpool, have agreed to sell around 30% of the club to a new investment group called 1892 Holdings. The deal is worth roughly 1.65 billion, which means if 30% of Liverpool is worth 1.65 billion, the whole club is being valued at around 5.5 billion. FSG are still the majority owners and still control Liverpool. How does Jeff Bezos come in? Jeff Bezos is involved through K5 Sports, alongside people including Amit Bhatia and Eduardo Saverin. Bezos himself is basically a passive investor. The man basically has no idea what they are doing with his money. Isn't that awesome? To basically have so much money that you have no idea what they are using your money for? So no, Amazon Prime members are not getting free Liverpool tickets. At least not yet. Imagine. But 5.5 billion is insane when you look at where Liverpool were when FSG bought them. FSG, then operating as New England Sports Ventures, bought Liverpool in 2010 for around 300 million. So we have gone from approximately 300 million to approximately 5.5 billion in 16 years. That is more than 18 times the original purchase price. Obviously, FSG have invested money into the club over that period, so you cannot just say they turned 300 million into 5.5 billion and put the difference in their pocket. That's not how it works. But still, my God, imagine buying a house for 300,000 and 16 years later somebody comes and says, "Yeah, I'll give you 5.5 million for it." I would sell immediately. Actually, no. Knowing me, I would start thinking, if he is offering 5.5 million this quickly, maybe it's actually worth 7 million. Then I would reject the offer, hold on to the house for another 6 months, the housing market would collapse, somebody would discover a giant sinkhole underneath the kitchen, and I would eventually sell it for 280,000. My brain will note this down. If someone offers 5.5 billion for your house, sell it immediately. Anyway, Liverpool. How does a football club become worth 5.5 billion? Because this is the important distinction. Liverpool do not have 5.5 billion. They are valued at 5.5 billion. If somebody says your house is worth 500,000, that does not mean there is 500,000 sitting inside your fridge. It means somebody believes the entire asset could be worth around that amount. And Liverpool have become an extremely valuable asset. For the 2024-25 season, Liverpool generated record revenue of more than 700 million. That money comes from the usual football money machine: broadcasting, matchday income, and commercial revenue. Liverpool returned to the Champions League. Anfield's expansion increased matchday earning potential. And commercially, Liverpool are one of the biggest football brands on earth. But revenue alone does not explain a 5.5 billion valuation. Because if Liverpool make around 700 million a year, why would anybody pay billions for the club? This is where football valuations get interesting. When somebody buys a football club, they are not simply buying this year's revenue. They are buying what they believe the club can generate for decades. They are buying the stadium, the brand, the sponsorship relationships, the global fan base, the Premier League membership, the media exposure, the merchandise business, the ability to tour around the world and have thousands of people show up wearing red shirts. And most importantly, they are buying something that cannot easily be recreated. I can start a football club tomorrow, Kwame Mitchell FC. We can register the team, find 11 players, get some shirts. I will play holding midfield because I've always believed I have a little Sergio Busquets in me. Although realistically, after 11 minutes I'll be asking to come off, because running is horrible. But I cannot just create Liverpool. I cannot manufacture more than a century of history. I cannot manufacture 6 European Cups. I cannot create Anfield and immediately give it decades of memories. I cannot suddenly produce millions of supporters around the planet whose parents supported Liverpool and whose children will probably support Liverpool. There is only one Liverpool Football Club, and scarcity makes valuable things even more valuable. There are thousands of companies you can invest in. There are hundreds of football clubs you can buy. but there are probably only a small handful of genuinely global football institutions that could ever come onto the market. Liverpool are one of them. Manchester United are one. Real Madrid and Barcelona would obviously be there, although good luck buying either of those because of their ownership structures. Bayern have their own structure as well. Then you have clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, and maybe a few others. So when a piece of Liverpool becomes available, billionaires do not look at it the same way we look at buying a normal business. They are buying access to an incredibly scarce global sports property. And football clubs have been getting more valuable for years. Why? Partly because the money surrounding football keeps getting bigger. Broadcasting contracts are enormous. Sponsorship deals are enormous. Commercial opportunities are global now. A Premier League club is not just selling itself to people living 10 minutes away from the stadium anymore. Liverpool can sell a shirt to someone in Ghana, sign a sponsorship deal targeting customers in Asia, play a preseason match in America, create digital products used by supporters basically everywhere. That global reach is ridiculously valuable. And I think sometimes we underestimate how weird football actually is as a business. There are people in Ghana waking up early or staying up late to watch 22 people tick a ball around in Liverpool and Manchester, England. I am one of those people, except obviously I'm usually watching Barcelona because I have standards. My heart belongs to Barcelona. Did you know an octopus has 3 hearts? 3. I have 1 heart, and somehow that thing already gives me enough problems. Supporting Barcelona is not for the faint of heart. Imagine having 3. Imagine your club losing in the Champions League semi-finals because they can't defend for 5 minutes to save their lives and having 3 hearts broken simultaneously. It would break you. Also, apparently 2 of the hearts stop beating when the octopus swims, which honestly sounds like nothing you clicked this video to learn. Sorry. Anyway, 5.5 billion. Another reason Liverpool's value has exploded is what happened on the pitch after FSG took over. Liverpool won the Champions League, they won Premier League titles, they became a regular Champions League club again, and spent years as one of the strongest teams in Europe. Sporting success matters financially because successful clubs get more prize money, more television exposure, better sponsorship opportunities, and generally become more attractive globally. Then there is Anfield. FSG did not move Liverpool into some gigantic new stadium miles away. They expanded Anfield. More seats means more people buying tickets, more hospitality, more food, more drinks, and more money coming through the stadium on match days. But the clever thing is that Anfield itself is part of Liverpool's value. You cannot really separate Liverpool from Anfield. The atmosphere, you'll never walk alone, the cop, European nights, all of that becomes part of the product. That emotional connection sounds very romantic until you remember that businesses are incredibly good at turning emotion into money. Your childhood memories, commercial asset. Your attachment to the badge, commercial asset. That song your dad taught you? Congratulations. Commercial asset. Football is beautiful. Capitalism is undefeated. Now the obvious question is, if investors are willing to value Liverpool at 5.5 billion, does that mean FSG are about to sell the whole club? Not necessarily. This deal actually does the opposite for now. FSG are keeping majority control. They are selling a minority stake and bringing in extremely wealthy partners while remaining in charge, which is quite a nice position to be in. Imagine owning something. Somebody comes along and gives you 1.65 billion for only 30% of it, and you still control the other 70%. I would become unbearable. Nobody would be able to speak to me. I would start saying things like, my people will contact your people. Even though my people are literally just me and my family. But there is another important point here. The 5.5 billion number is not just some journalist sitting at home multiplying Liverpool's Instagram followers by 17. There is now an actual transaction behind it. Investors are agreeing to pay around 1.65 billion for roughly 30%. That gives us a real-world implied valuation of about 5.5 billion. Other estimates can still be lower or higher depending on how they calculate club value, but somebody actually agreeing to buy a major stake tells us what sophisticated investors are willing to pay right now. And for FSG, that is ridiculous value creation. 300 million in 2010, around 5.5 billion implied valuation today. They bought Liverpool when the club were in a completely different financial position, developed Anfield, rebuilt the commercial side, benefited from the Premier League becoming an even bigger global machine, and Liverpool started winning major trophies again. Now, some of the richest people in the world want a piece. And this is why wealthy investors keep buying football clubs, even when everybody tells you football clubs are terrible businesses. They can be terrible businesses. Player wages are insane. Transfers are insane. One bad season can cost you Champions League money. Supporters will threaten civil war because you changed the price of a pie by £2. But if you buy the right club at the right time, the value of the asset itself can grow enormously. FSG bought Liverpool for around 300 million. 16 years later, a transaction is putting Liverpool at around 5.5 billion. That does not mean FSG made 5.2 billion in profit. It does not mean Liverpool have 5.5 billion available to buy players. And it definitely does not mean Jeff Bezos now owns Liverpool. It means investors looked at the stadium, the revenue, the Premier League, the history, the trophies, the global supporters, the commercial potential, and what Liverpool might become over the next 20 years, and decided that the whole thing is worth somewhere around £5.5 billion, which is an absolutely ridiculous amount of money, but apparently not ridiculous enough to stop billionaires from buying it. And somewhere right now, somebody who bought Liverpool for 300 million in 2010 is looking at that 5.5 billion valuation. Meanwhile, I bought crypto once and immediately watched it go down. We are not playing the same game. Bye-bye, let me go and cry.